Hey fellas, it's 265 Chevy here, two-car garage. I'm going to make another video today. Today's still the 26th. Trying to get all my video making done. But today, on this video, I want to talk a little bit about rust and my thoughts on the subject. Let me turn this around. I've been watching a lot of videos since I had surgery and everything, so I've been watching a lot of videos, and I just figured I would make this video about rust, my thoughts about it, and what I think and what I have learned over the years about the subject, about what I thought when I first started my project to where I thought now, where my thinking is now, which has changed tremendously. So, been watching some videos, Sam Q, and this is pretty much the reason why I'm making the video, because a lot of issues that he's going through, and so KT at 512 KJT, he's got an El Camino that he's doing a lot of rust work on that vehicle, and but Sam Q kind of reminded me of a guy when I first started on this car, how I thought about everything. I was kind of nitpicking everything about, I thought this needed to be done, that needed to be done, this, and the project just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I thought all the stuff needed to be done, and then actually watching so many YouTube videos and things that I've learned over the years, some things need to be done and some things they don't, because things change. So let me kind of explain what I'm talking about. Alright, I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to show you some different things, what I've done on the Chevelle, and what my thinking was then compared to what my thinking is now. Let's start the video. Okay, most of y'all know that I own a 68 Chevelle. It's in pretty decent condition, has some rust issues and stuff like that, but I'm going to bring you over here. These are some of the things that I've cut out of the car. This piece right here went right up in there. All this was all rusted out and everything, so I cut that piece out and I remade it, and then I put it in. Of course, it's 415 and everything else like that. So this piece, which you could see, definitely needed to be cut out. There's no ands ifs doubts about it, okay? And then had this piece right here, which you could see was totally rusted. That went right there, and I made a new piece and put it in and welded it, so it replaced that piece. Now the reason why I'm showing you all this is this. You kind of got to think about these old cars like a surgeon would think about cancer. Yes, is there rust still probably up in this pillar inside? Yes, this probably is. But this was so rusted that it actually broke through, that there was no way that I can actually seal it with any type of thing to actually seal it to keep it from water going inside and continue to wet all this area and keep it from rusting even more. So I had to cut this piece out and just this little piece. So what I'm saying pretty much is that when you want to start fixing things on these old cars, because we all know that aftermarket parts ain't worth a crap. OEM parts is where it's at, if you can find them. But these cars are so old, so many have been torn up, thrown away, crushed or whatever, that these parts are hard to find. Or you'd have to go through so much work to even, to cut them out at a junkyard would even be harder. So a lot of people get aftermarket parts. Now what I've learned from SWR&C, the reason why they don't make aftermarket parts exactly like OEM parts, because they can't. They can't make those parts exactly, because if they did, then they would have to share some of the money because they don't have a patent on those parts. So they make them a little bit different. That's why you got to modify them to make them fit, which makes sense, okay? So my whole thing is that you got to look at the overall project. The overall project is right here. I have a garage. So if you're going to go through all this work, excuse me, if you're going to go through all this work, more than likely, your car that you're doing now is not going to be sitting in the weather. It's not going to be seeing road salt up north, all that stuff. So the rust issues, if you cut out the majority of the rust and treat it and fix the things that need to be fixed, the majority of the rust is still going to rust over time, but the interior part of it will. But you slowed the process 100-fold, because now you're not getting the water in it. It's always going to be dry and stuff like that, because it's always going to be garaged. So the rust issue is still going to be there, like in this pillar. There's nothing I can do about that. The only way I could be able to solve that is either cut it out, open it up, and try to treat it, or send it somewhere to go get it dipped. And even if you get it dipped, it's still not going to. It's still not, after it's dipped and comes out, it's still going to eventually rust. So if you're trying to get every little piece of rust out, you're going to spend so much time trying to do that, where my first initial thinking when I first bought this car many years ago was that I needed to do this, that, and everything. And every time I come across a little bit of rust, I try to get everything out. But the project has lasted so much longer, I really haven't had time to even enjoy what I'm trying to work on. To get it out there, to drive it, to enjoy it, to see the sunshine, to let other people enjoy what I have done. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that when you find a little piece of rust like this, you cut it out. You treat this part, you fix it, and you move on. Like this right here. All right? I could buy a whole new panel. This panel's pretty much good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this part out, just incision, make an incision, cut it out like a surgeon, replace just this part, and however fabricate it to make it look like this side. And if I can do that, the rest of it is fine. I'll sand it down, prime it, however you want to do the etching or however you want to do it, and then body work and paint it. Okay? My process is how I'm going to go about it is that I'm going to use this product here, which is called Prep and Etch, which you buy it at Home Depot. I wanted to show you this SAMQ. Okay? And it's a phosphoric acid. So I'm going to strip the whole panel down to metal. Okay? I'm going to wipe that stuff on it. I'm going to clean it down. I'm going to follow the instructions, and then I'm going to wipe however they say to neutralize it. You can neutralize it. But let me tell you something else about that product. That product right there, if you put it on the metal, okay, just basic metal, and then you leave that product on, you don't take it off, that metal will not rust. You can leave the car in metal. You can leave the car in metal with that stuff on it. It would stay and it will be protected. As long as you don't wipe it off, as long as you don't put it in the rain, it's in the garage, it will stay metal. You don't have to prime it at that particular point in time. But before you prime it using that product, you got to make sure that it's neutralized. However they tell you to neutralize it, you clean the metal, then you go and prime it. All these parts was done that way. But now we come up to a part like this. Like you were saying before. Let me put my glasses on. What should I do? It's got pitting, okay? This little section right here, this little section can be cut out, and you could just scab another piece of metal in there and then grind it down smooth, and you'll be good to go. Or you can leave that like that. If it ain't completely rusted through, then you can come back, you can make sure, use the Prep and Etch, grind, wire brush it. I would sandblast these little pits. It's the best way. Sandblasting definitely takes out rust too. Come back and neutralize it, and then I would come back and then body fill it and then move on. Okay? It depends on how far you want to go. That's your decision. But if you do, like I just said, sandblast that little part with a little spot blaster, and come back and neutralize it, and then Bondo over it, or whatever you want to use, and then move on, nothing should happen to that part And the reason why is because your car is going to be in the garage all the time. More than likely, that car will not see, I mean, it will see rain, but every now and then. Because you've done so much work on that car that more than likely, that car is your baby, so you're going to treat it like gold. So now, the process of the rust is going to be completely different than a car that's sitting out in the weather every single day, or out in the road out every single day. So it's totally a different treatment, you know? I mean, so every part of this car has rust in it. I mean, look at it. Look at my roof section. Okay, what I'm going to do with this, it's all surface rust. It's not rusted through, it's just surface rust. So, am I going to go in, I'm going to sand it down to metal? Yes, I am going to do that. I am going to put that effort into it. I'm going to sand that surface rust off, I'm going to neutralize it, then I'm going to prime it, and then I'm going to move on. If you look at that panel over there, I guarantee you, inside that panel looks exactly like the outside. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing. Before, I would try to find ways to find how I can seal all that up. And there are different ways. You can dip the car. You can, buy the thing with the nozzle and, spray stuff in it. And even spraying stuff in it, you don't know 100% that it's all going to be covered. So the part that's not going to be covered, what, is that going to rust over time? Yes, but by the time it rusts out, you'll be dead and gone. That'll be somebody else's problem. That'll be totally somebody else's problem. But my first way of thinking is like yours when I first got the car, that I had to get all this. I had to get every little bit of rust out. I used so much time and energy to do that, is that it took years from getting this car completed. Could have been completed. Now look at it. I've been owning the car for so long and it's still sitting in the condition that it sits. And of course it has a lot about life issues and stuff like that, money and everything else. But besides the point, that those days that I was taking apart thinking that I needed to clean these things or do these things, the only thing I can do is the best that I can, and then you move on. You repair what can be repaired. Now, I agree with you. Now, we're going to use this as an example. You showed in your video today, let's use this, about the fender. Okay. You have the fender. And it's something like this. That back brace. And what you showed was this little bit of pieces were rusted. And you had these bends. And you was asking the question, well, I really don't have a brake or whatever to make this whole piece and cut all this out. Well, really, to me, you don't have to do that. You could just cut out that little bit of rust, all right, and then weld in that small little piece because all these other pieces are solid. And then you weld that in, then you put your piece of panel on top of that. You pour 15 like you said that you want to do, because I like pour 15. A lot of people don't. But the only places where I use pour 15 is places like this that won't see the sun, won't see whatever, and it's always covered in the darkness. So that is a fix that's going to be like that. Nobody's ever going to see this. Nobody. It's all going to be covered up. That's the only places where I use pour 15. I don't use pour 15 on anywhere on the outside. You can use pour 15 on your trunk pans and all that kind of stuff, because that's all that's going to be covered. Underneath the trunk pans, I wouldn't use it. I would use a sealer and paint it, or the rubber coating and stuff like that. Now, these are just my thoughts. These are what I've learned over the years. I think a lot of people that get involved in these things and they see the video, okay, because you got to remember, a lot of times when you're watching videos, you got to look at it, is it a restoration or is it collision repair? A collision repair is totally different than a restoration. A collision repair, they want to get it in, they want to get it done, they use different products compared to what a restoration is going to be used. A restoration is something that you're going to take your time to do whatever you got to do, so you're going to use better quality materials. You're going to use, depends on your money situation. And you're going to do a better job compared to what a collision repair is going to be. Collision repair, they got a certain amount of time, they got to do the time, they got to get paid, and the project goes and it goes out the door because the people want their car back. So the materials that they use, the way they do it, it's totally different than a restoration. Totally different. Now I got some people that I'm going to recommend, that I'm going to do shout outs for, that I think do quality work, that do awesome work, that Let's see if I can find the paper that I wrote all the names down. Okay, we're gonna start off with VW Darren. Knows everything about products. Been in the business a long time. He's a straight shooter. He'll tell you what he thinks, how he thinks it needs to be done. You know, and he does things differently compared to what the project is. If it's a car they just came in, they want it, you know, shot and painted, you know, he'll shoot it and paint it. If he's doing a restoration on his type of vehicle, he's going to do it a little bit differently. Same thing with everything else. Shut Your Face Garage. Matt. Awesome work. Does great work. Probably done 2 or 3 cars already. You know, I saw a video on his, like on this right here, on my Chevelle. Let me get down here. At one time, my thinking was I was going to replace this whole quarter panel because I knew they had rust behind here. Excuse me. I don't want to just sit here. They had rust behind the quarter panel, and all this was all surface rust. I wanted to take the quarter panel off so I can get all that. My thinking today is not. No way. My thinking today is buy the aftermarket panel, because I ain't going to be able to find a panel on a 68 Chevelle that's in any better shape than what this is. Cut off what I need, fix whatever's underneath, and move on. Same thing on this side. This, I know underneath here, because I know my car, it's rusted all underneath here. So I'm going to have to cut this out. Same thing. Aftermarket panel, cut it out to here, fix whatever's underneath here. With an aftermarket panel, cut off what I need, put it on, treat whatever I can treat, put it back together, body work, and move on. Same thing over here. This side is more because we can see the rust came through. So we know there's rust underneath there. We know that needs to be taken apart and cleaned and treated. But do I need to treat everything else underneath here? I know there's rust there. There's no way there's no rust there. No, I'm not going to do that. It's too much work, too much money, and I'll be dead before I can even enjoy my car. You know, now I got other projects, I got all kind of other stuff going on. So that's not the excuse why the car is what, but that was my way of thinking a long time ago. And it was wrong. For me, it was wrong. My way of thinking today is fix what needs to be fixed, get it the way I want it to get it. It can look beautiful. And then if it rusts through 40 years later, that's somebody else's problem. I'll be dead. You know? So prep and etch. Here, let me give you some other names here. Old Time Garage. Just watched the video yesterday. I think it was. He bring it in a 55. In Canada, he was saying he can use a part off a 55 Chevy, but it's different. It's a Canada car. But this thing is a wreck. I mean, a wreck. I've seen better cars in junkyards. But, you know, he's going to do the metal work. There you go. Good person to go look at. He's going to do metal work, going to learn from. He always tells you that's the way he does it, you know. So you get bits and pieces, what you like off of his, you use it on your project. What you don't like off of his, you don't worry about. Tom Noble, doing a 68 Camaro, doing a wonderful job. Didn't really know that much when he started. Watched YouTube. You can, you know, I can't watch every video that he watches. He's probably subscribed to people that I'm not to. So whatever he learns, he shows, and he learns everything off of him. Turbo Cobra, did a Mustang. Didn't know how to paint. Unbelievable work. I mean, with the work he's doing now on metal work, what he's learning there, I'm learning from him. Great channel. Go look at him. Talon 4WD. You mentioned him. That was the first video 2.5 years ago or longer that I started watching on YouTube that got me excited about my car again. Very good videos. Watch every single one of them. Phosphoric acid, I learned from him. He's the one who gave me the gumption of even try to think about painting my own car. He's finished with his car. He don't make as many videos as he used to, but great channel to go learn a lot of good stuff from. SWRNC, you know that. Who else? Swilling, Sam Swilling. Unbelievable. Oh, Sam, I wanted to tell you why I brought your name up. I'm going to just do a mail call real quick. You know, I got your sticker. Cool sticker, man. Great channel. I'm definitely going to use this, and I probably, next 5 or 6 days, something like that, after I get off my antibiotics. And then I'm going to have me a couple of good cold ones, you know what I'm saying? So I'll definitely use that. But let me tell you a little bit about your channel. All these guys that I'm talking about are all guys that are doing stuff on their own. Attention to detail is unbelievable. They, you know, they want to do it. They want to do it right. Do they have all the money to do everything they're going to do? No. So yeah, they cut a couple corners here and there, but all the projects are done right. You know, what else? Who else? Who else I can come up with? Turbo Cobra, I said. Talon 4WD. Full Throttle, Full 40. Here's another guy. Did a truck. Unbelievable. Didn't know nothing. Cut all his own little panels out. Tried how to learn how to weld. You know. Is it 100%? No, it's good enough from him. But he cut out all the little pieces and everything. But he understood that the whole thing didn't need to be cut out. Just cut out little sections that need to be cut out and replace them if you can. Now you got to try to replace them with 18 gauge metal. That's what this old stuff is. It's 18 gauge metal. Anything higher than that, you can go 16, but it's going to be kind of a little thicker. But 18 gauge metal is what you want to use. So my process is, you sand it down, like I said before, you use the prep and etch, then you know, do that, and then you prime it. And then you move on. And that should keep it from rusting anymore or anything else like that. That's just my thoughts. That's how I'm going to do my car whenever I can get to it, after I can get this out, my Firebird out the way. And, you know, I got a little bit of pieces of floor pan. Let me show you this. Like that right there. Only thing I'm going to do with that is cut that out right there along that seam. Get rid of that rust. I'm going to cut it out to good metal where it's solid. You know, like this. They got pitting right there. See the pitting right there? So I'll cut it out all the way past the pitting, wherever it stops. I think it stops right about there. And I'll put that new piece in. Weld it in, grind it. You'll never even know it's there. You know? So that's what I would do with that fender, Sam Q. I would cut that little piece out. I would weld that little piece in on that structure. On the 18 gauge metal is the metal on the outside of the panel, like this, like the fender. The fender's 18 gauge metal. Those braces that you're looking at, that's 16 gauge. You can buy, I wouldn't go to Home Depot, because Home Depot will charge your arm and a leg for a sheet, a small sheet. I would go to a metal place and get a 4x8 sheet, or probably even be cheaper to get a 4x8 sheet and have all that metal left over, you know, to practice welding or whatever, or, you know, or get a 4x2 or whatever, or ask them if you can get some scraps off of them. They probably sell it to you. 16 gauge and 18 gauge is what you need. Always have copper around, because when you fool with old pieces of metal, it's going to burn through, but you can weld it, let it burn. Put a piece of copper behind it, absorb the heat. Sooner or later, you'll be able to fill it in, grind it down, and then move on. Now, all your welds, when you weld, you want to make sure that, because you're going to have pinholes in the weld, okay? So that's where the rust is going to start. So you want to make sure that you fill it in with a backing, you know, like fiber strand or whatever. Sand that down. Come across with some Bondo. The Bondo repels water. Come, you know, across with some Bondo. Smooth it all down, prime it, and it's good to go. When it ever does fail, if it do fail, you'll be dead and gone. So that's just my thoughts. My thoughts was like yours in the beginning. It was flawed, and not saying it was flawed in a bad way. It was flawed in a good way. But the reason why it was flawed is because I was adding so many different things to my project. There's no way that I could do all that work. There's no that I have to do all that work. So I mean, oh yeah, like 512 KT, you was talking about what I'm going to do underneath the dashboard. Well, here we go. Got a dashboard just like you. Okay. Now what I did underneath there, you can kind of see that I sanded it. Okay. Went down somewhat to bare metal to get the, you know, the rust off. Okay. Of course it rusted back a little bit because I haven't fooled with this car in years. And, you know, I can really say years, which is a shame, but it's true. But so when I do get back to it, I'm gonna scuff it all down. I'm gonna spray that phosphoric acid on it, let it do what it's supposed to do. Then I'm gonna wash it down, clean it down, and then I'm just gonna come back and prime it, paint it the color that I want to paint it, which is probably gonna be black, and then move on. Start putting pieces back on. Only thing you want to do is, most people weren't even gonna do that. People that you have see these fancy cars out in car shows, they would never went to that extreme. They painted the outside, they got a beautiful motor, beautiful interior, all that's covered, nobody sees it. You know, but these are just my thoughts. Y'all guys, like I tell my kids, you know, this is just my ideas, what I think. Either you're more than welcome to use them. If you don't want to use them, that's fine. That don't hurt my feelings. You can take them like a grain of salt and you can throw them over your shoulder and you can move on. You know, just because I say it needs to be done, that don't mean it needs to be done that way. Every YouTube video that I watch, that's my attitude. I'll take the best parts out of it. I'll use it. The other parts I might not like. You know, so the phone's ringing. I'll be right back. Alright fellas, I'm back. Sorry about the interruption. But that was my old lady calling. You know, when the boss calls, you gotta answer. So that's my thoughts on that. Hope y'all get something out of it. Not trying to change anybody's minds on how to do anything. Like I said before, these are just my thoughts. Just the way I look at things. Because I remember one time, I think I talked to Yayub, and you know, on the phone, you know, when he first started his project, and I kind of told him, so you know, you really got to really think about how you want your project to go, because it's hard. Because I told him the project can spiral out of control and very, very quick. And what I mean by that is this: say that all this car is together. All right. So you're fixing this area, you paint this, whatever looks good. Whatever you painted there, whatever's beside it's going to look like crap. So the first thing you're going to say, well, I need to do that. And then that's going to go to there, to there, to there, and it just snowballs. It don't stop. So you really got to be on your P's and Q's about, this is what I'm going to do. This is, you know, this is how I want, you know, this is what I can afford. This is the only thing I can do. And you take it in steps. And it happened to me. My main thing with this project here, I've taken it apart so many years ago. Then I fooled with this car so much, I knew where every bolt went. I looked at it, I could tell you where it went. Can I do that today? No. I didn't have YouTube back then. I didn't have none of that. It was just me, whatever friends that knew whatever they knew, and people that we talked to, and then, you know, if you talk to somebody to tell you how to do something, you got to remember all that and bring it home and try to do it. You can't go look at a YouTube video 30 times to see how they did it every time. You know, so I took every bolt out, and what I did with the bolts, I didn't think about bagging them or any of that stuff. I threw them in a bucket. Because I thought, all right, that I'm going to have this back together in no time. You know, and then I started, oh, this is rusted, that's rusted. This is, you know, let me treat this. I mean, you see primer all over that car, all over this car. Underneath, on top. That's why. That's why you see all that. And then at that time, this car was outside. This was being tarped. And then the reason why a lot of that rust is there, because I didn't know that if you put a tarp over a car outside and you let it sit there for months at a time, it's worse than leaving the car sit out in the weather and letting it dry. It held the moisture, which made it rust even faster. So now what I got to do with this car is put it somewhat back together so I know where the bolts go, because I can't paint the parts. I can't do all this stuff and try to put it back together and then know, oh, okay, well, this bolt don't fit. Let me try this bolt. And moving this stuff, moving that, moving this, scratching everything up that I just did. So I actually got to put this somewhat that's called back together so I know where all the bolts go. But this time if I do that, I'm driving it. It's going to be in steps. It's going to be, you know, kind of put the car back together the way I want it, then take it apart, bag it, and then paint it or do the things that I want to do. But I can, you know, sand, prom, and stuff like that to keep the metal where it needs to be. So when I get to that point, the only thing I need to do is scuff and shoot. Scuff, put on a coat of primer, scuff it down, make it look good, then shoot it. Because I'm going to do it all myself. That's how I figure that I'm going to do it. That's the only way I can do it. It's the only way I can afford it. So I got to learn. So I learn off of you guys. You know, Old Time Garage, VW Darren, Matt, you know, all you guys. All you new guys that are coming on YouTube, showing different things that y'all show. I appreciate it. I thank you. You know, my dream still lives because of y'all. Showing me that I can do it just like y'all. Maybe not better. Maybe not worse. But I can try. So I'm going to end this video. I don't want it to be too long. But that's my thoughts on rust. It could be done. Think of it as a surgeon. You're cutting out cancer. Because in your body, you're only going to cut out whatever needs to be cut out. You're not going to cut out more. You're going to cut out a little bit more to make sure there's no cancer cells there. You're going to tighten you all back up. And then you're going to send you on your merry way. Well, that's the way I kind of figure about a car. At least an old car. Do the best that you can. Work hard on it. It's your dream. So you're going to do it better than anybody else that can do it for you. And then move on. Like anything. So, y'all have a good day. Got a lot in store. We'll talk about the Chevelle later. Got to get the Firebird done first. But she's definitely on my bucket list. And she's quite higher up there. So I definitely would like to. The good Lord's going to have to take me real quick for me not to be able to drive this thing one day before I die. Because it will happen. If I have anything to say over it, it will happen. So my thoughts and prayers for all you guys that are doing y'all projects. I thank y'all for showing everything that y'all show. And I appreciate it because you just keep on giving me drive to do mine. So y'all keep up the videos. Keep everything going the way it is. And I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Y'all take it easy. Later. Oh yeah. Sorry I'm back. There was another name that I wanted to give y'all. Raj D. Fometta. He's a guy. He don't do videos anymore. But I'm pretty sure that his videos are still out there. The work on the Firebird, he's got a Chevelle and a Firebird. The work on the Firebird was phenomenal. Did awesome work. Another guy didn't know too much, but decided to do it on his own. Watch all these videos, like I said, like Swilling. He's got the Le Mans. He's got a Trans Am. Unbelievable work. Top notch. Great work. Doing everything himself. Like all these names that I said, guys that are not, guys that are subscribed to my channel, y'all probably know these names. The guys that will subscribe to my channel, that, when you watch this video, then, look these guys up. Check them out. You'll learn a lot. You'll enjoy the videos. You'll see the attention to detail. And you see how things should be done. Like I said, so I just wanted to throw that other name out there. I never had it written down. I knew it was on my compressor. So, y'all have a good day. Bye.